Verse 38, he said, Lord, I believe. And he worshipped him. Kurios, the Greek word for Lord. So he believed. He said Lord and he believed. That's one thing, right? It's one thing to just say Lord and he believed. I mean, you have the whole House of Lords in England. Can your belief in any of those lords save you? No, it can't. You don't need to believe in them, you can see them, okay? And a lot of them, their lives not very respectable. So, yeah, lords. It's easy to call someone a lord, right? It's like, by me, so you have Saya, which actually means teacher. But as well, it's not just teacher like school teacher or something. It's just more like on a higher kind of a level. Although school teachers as well say yeah, but depending on who you are, it's going to give added impetus to the word. Okay, so it's one thing to just call someone a Lord and believe that he's a Lord, but he believed in him. But there's something more important here. He worshipped him. That's the most important part. He worshipped him. Think of the consequences for this blind. You are only allowed to worship in the Jewish faith one, that is God, no one else. You're not allowed to worship angels. You're not allowed to worship Abram, Moses, anyone else but God. That's the first commandment. Okay, God is a jealous God. You're not allowed to have any other gods. So you're not allowed to worship anybody, anything else but God. Unlike what Christians do and believe and worship every single thing on this planet, except seemingly the one they claim to believe in, that is God. So for him, in his context, he knows there's only one he's allowed to worship. So if he's going to worship anybody else, then he can be stoned, right? And he's a sinner, and he might lose his sight again. See, all these things play in this is not, we think, okay, yeah, so what, he fell down there on his knees, and like, oh, Jesus, kind of, no. The fact that he worshipped Jesus clearly shows he's not just Lord, like with a small L, he's Lord, like capital. He's how they will, in the English versions, translate when we speak of Yahweh with capitals, all capitals, right? That is the kind of Lord he has in mind here, right? That is ultimately Lord, and therefore he is worshiping. So he's admitting to the fact that Jesus is God, and therefore he's worshiping God. Now, if Jesus wasn't God, for those who say that he wasn't God, say he was just a good prophet, like the Muslims, then you have a problem, because good prophets, Isaiah, Abram, Moses, in whom you do believe, they would never have allowed for people to worship them. Never. So Jesus can't be a good prophet. It's just impossible. Okay, so to the Muslims out there, you just need to think about it. Like these guys were discussing it. Like this blind man was discussing Jesus, and no, this thing has never happened. That someone born blind was healed. So you need to come up with a different excuse than that he was a sinner. Okay, in the same way, if you claim that Jesus is one of your main prophets, and you have a lot more respect for him than for the other prophets, like even for Moses and those guys, Moses never accepted people to worship him. Abram never accepted people's worship. Jesus did. That is breaking the first commandment, right? That means that Jesus is not even worth the epithet of apostle. Jesus is wrong, and he ought to be stoned. So either you're going to believe that Jesus is God, or you need to throw Jesus out of your Quran. There's no other way around it, right? Sorry for that, but you can't have it both ways. It's just impossible. And for Jehovah's Witnesses who claim Jesus is not God, here these guys are worshiping him. He can't be less. He could not accept this. He ought to have stopped the guy, like the others later on, like Paul, when they wanted to make him worship him. He said, no, we're just men like you. Jesus ought to, if he's not God, just the archangel or anything, he ought to stop them and say, no, 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 stop this. This is breaking the first commandment. I am not God. Stop this. You're going to go blind again. You will be stoned. I will be stoned for accepting this. He didn't. And so the same for anyone who holds that Jesus is less than God. Be you a Mormon, supposedly from the church of the Latter-day Saints. You're not latter, well, latter in that you came very late at the end, kind of, depending on when Jesus is coming back. But you're surely not saints, not in the biblical way at all. Okay, and for any other religion out there claiming that Jesus, now understandably, I can't include here Hindus and Buddhists because they don't believe in Jesus. So I'm speaking here now of Jews, Christians, and Islam. Those three religions who count Jesus as a prophet, all of them. And for those who count Jesus as a great teacher, well, you know, he can't be a great teacher if he accepted this here. That's not. His claims, his actions here clearly shows that he's God. Nothing less at all.